Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're going to talk about timed transitions in Adalo. We sort of touched on this in the Lottie tutorial where we talked about how you can take a Lottie animation and set an action where at the end of the Lottie animation you move on to another screen. So we showed how we kind of had this pop up and the Lottie played and then it moved on to another screen. What we're going to do now is talk about how you can set custom times for the screens to move to another screen. You can also do this for other actions, so anything else you do in Adalo, like updating records, creating records, deleting records, or even connecting to an API and doing a custom action, you can set all of this up on a timer. This is all because Minimum Studio created a really cool Adalo component called Countdown. It is available in the marketplace for free, so thank you to them for putting this together. Okay, so let's jump in. I have my starter app here. There's really nothing already populated other than the fact that I have created my own account for testing, and there's nothing else. There's no database or anything. This is going to be more of like a UI tutorial, so there's not going to be a whole lot of working with data, if any at all, actually. So let's do this. What I want to do is split this up into two parts. First, we're going to go through how you could create something really similar to what we did in the Lottie tutorial, where there's kind of this transition screen that shows up for a little while and then disappears after a certain amount of time. And we're going to include the timer in it. So we're going to show the countdown. It's going to display the amount of seconds before something happens. And then we're also going to talk about how to hide that countdown. So if you just want it to happen automatically, kind of in the background, almost like building your own logic into the app for the transitions. So let's start by creating a button. This is the easiest part. We just want a button that goes to a new screen, but we want to add a transition in between it. So let's say go to screen. Perfect. That was super easy. Next, let's add a transition screen that's going to go in between this and the screen that we're going to link to. So we'll call this transition. And for this one, we could do a modal, we could do a full screen. I'm actually going to do a kind of pop-up from the bottom style, so we can go through how to do that. First, what we need to do is add a rectangle. Oops. There we go. So we want to add the rectangle to the bottom, make it the full width of the app, and choose however high we want it to be. So this looks pretty good. Next, you can style this, you can add a background, add a border, change the rounding, do whatever you'd like to do here. I think I'm going to just leave it at this gray color right now. And let's also match the top bar information to the home screen. So I'm going to click Edit Styles and change the status bar to white text. So we don't see it right now, but once this transition happens, it's going to make it look a little more seamless. So what we're going to do is actually create it so that this piece, with everything we're going to add to it, is like a layer that comes on top of the home screen. Rather than switching to a new screen, it's very similar to the modal where this home screen will get kind of darkened and out of focus, and this screen will become the main layer. So let's add in a couple more elements. Let's add an icon to close out of this. I like to always do this if I'm working on any kind of pop-up or anything like that, just because it's nice to have a, whoops, I didn't mean to tap this button. So we're gonna have that. And then let's also add some text. And this is pretty common, like on the web. Let's do this like redirecting you in ... Okay, we're going to change this to the heading font and give it a bigger size. All right, cool. And then what I want to do now, I'm a little paranoid that these colors are different. Okay, they are. So we'll use the 4-2. Which one is that? There we go. All right, so now what we're going to do with that out of the way is add the countdown component. So I got this from the marketplace. If you go to the marketplace and scroll down, you'll see it right here. It's called Countdown, again by Minimum Studio. You can just click install and you will have access to it. So I've already installed it, which means it's under this installed section in the add panel. So I'm going to choose Countdown and drop it in. Now by default, we've got these three numbers. It's the hours, minutes, and seconds for our countdown. You can change the format. I'm going to do only seconds here. And then you can also choose the number to count down from. You also have the option for magic numbers here. So if you have data with numbers, or for some reason you want users to be able to choose how long this countdown is going to go for, you can absolutely do that. I'm just going to set a hard number for this use case, but just know that that's available. Okay, and then next we have some styling options. I want to make this a little bigger. I want to take away the border actually, and change the font weight. That looks about right to me. Let's also center it here. Okay, now for the fun part. So we want to add an action that when the countdown is finished, we are linking to a new screen. So let's make that screen really quick. Let's call it destination screen. And let's do just the app bar style. Okay, and I want to do a none transition here. I think that'll make the most sense. Or we could do, you know what, let's get fancy. Let's do like a slide up. All right, cool. And now for this destination screen, let's just add some celebration. This needs to be really big. Perfect. All right, and then let's see, what else are we missing here? So one thing is, since we have a link from this button to this transition to this destination screen, the back button, we don't want to go to this transition again. This is going to be kind of a one-time visit. So we actually want to change the back action from the default back to go to the home screen. And I like to use this slide right when we're going backwards in our app flow. All right, cool. This is looking good. Let me add one more thing. Let's add the option to skip the countdown. Just thinking about how someone might use this. Let's change it to an outlined button. We'll say, go now. Okay, cool. So we've got our button to skip. Let's add the link to the destination screen with the same transition, slide up, and perfect. So now someone can tap this button, it triggers a countdown, and we have the option to skip the countdown and go straight to the destination screen. The next thing I want to do is group all of these components together. So I can click Make Group, and then I want to add a style for the group that fixes it to the bottom of the screen. That's because when we link these screens together, we're going to use the float transition. And if you don't fix it to the bottom, it might just end up somewhere in the middle of the screen. So we want it fixed to the bottom to kind of give it like a slide up, pop-up kind of look. So we fixed it to the bottom. We're all good there. And last, we need to link the Go to Screen button that we added right at first to the transition. So we'll just link it with the float up. Here we go. All right, so I think we're ready to test this. Let's give it a look. We'll go into preview. We will click Go to Screen. We see the timer automatically starts, and we land on our destination screen. Awesome. So this is, pretty simple. We can skip it if we want to. We can also close out of it. Oh, I forgot that one. Let's add the action to go back. There we go. All right. So I think you get the gist. Like, this is working pretty well. Next, I want to show you how you could add this timer kind of in the background, so it's not actually a timer that you're looking at. If you just wanted you to redirect someone automatically, you can kind of build this in as like your own logic into Adalo. So I'm going to make a copy of transition. We're just going to hold Alt or Option and click and drag to do that. And then let's add a new button. Let's go to Screen 2, and let's link that button to the new screen that we just made. Okay, cool. Now, what I want to change here is, let's just first of all say, there we go, we want to just kind of move this out of the way. And let's get rid of that button. We'll just move this down. So to hide this, there's a few things you can do. First of all, you can't use the conditional visibility to hide the countdown timer because it won't run. So just keep that in mind. It does need to be technically visible in your app. What you could do is just make it smaller so it's not messing up the flow of your app. You can go all the way down to 1, though I don't really recommend it because it's easier to click on it if there's at least a clickable target here. And what I want to do is just change the font color to either transparent or just match the background color. I'm just going to choose transparent because then if I ever change this rectangle color, I don't have to also worry about changing the color of the timer. So that was pretty simple, but that's how you hide it. Let's give it a quick test. Go to screen 2. We don't see any timer here. However, there we go. As soon as the timer's done, we get moved to the destination screen. So that is how you do transitions in Adalo with the countdown timer made by Minimum Studio. So thanks again to Minimum Studio for making this available to everyone. Hopefully this was a helpful tutorial for you. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to help.